On March last year, the CEO of the world's leading global political risk research and consulting firm, Eurasia Group, Ian Bremmer, visited South Korea. 7 years ago, he stated that North Korea is a closed country, but is not a risky country. But this time, he spoke differently. He said, the Kim Jong-un regime is losing the control over the country. People's access to information from outside and the execution of Jang Sung-taek has resulted in internal conflicts within Kim's family. If such incident continues, then the regime may collapse within a few years or within a couple of months. North Korea is not sustainable anymore. South Korea shall prepare for unification. His remarks that the unification is in the near future are good news. But when you consider that we are not well prepared enough, it's worrying news. For the last 15 years, the aid to North Korea has done nothing against the deforestation in the country. North Korea restoration aid of the South Korean government has begun since year 2000 after President Kim Dae-jung signed the North-South Joint Declaration. The central and the local government forbidden any contact with the North Koreans, so the local society does the aid project with North Korea. The projects include reforestation, sapling cultivation, disease and pest control. Reforestation began since year 2005, for it is the most important and urgent matter. Reforestation areas were restricted to Pyongyang, Kaesong, and Kumgang Mountain. South Koreans experts could not enter North Korea, so our government could only support them with the necessary materials. We later found out that the trees and saplings were not used for reforestation purposes, but for aesthetic uses in Pyongyang. Of all the projects, sapling cultivation is of the largest in scale because it includes supporting seeds, material, sow seeds, greenhouse, solar systems, and other technical support. During the project, South Koreans barely contacted the people in the north, and therefore the project was idle for both sides. Trust building among partners is the most important thing in sapling cultivation. According to experts who undertook the project, the people of the south and north had problems in communication. Culture and language differences led to miscommunication, and the low level of knowledge in sapling cultivation of the North Koreans was also a big problem. So, they made a manual and guideline for the North Korean people. But the hardest part of the project was to get the North Korean people to participating in the project. In a socialist system, where the people are used to do only what they are told to do, volunteer participation was hard to expect from them. Also, the people expected something in return. Obviously, because for them every day was a challenge to survive. If so, there was no food supply after work, there were no merits for the people to participate in the sapling cultivation project. One good way to get the people participate in tree planting activity is to provide them with food and other living material. So the Korean government provided the necessary materials for them. And to our surprise, the North Korean people started to participate in the project. The disease and pest control projects were carried out by Gangwon Province Authority from year 2001 to 2011 upon request of the North Koreans. North Korea reforestation projects controlled by the local government are more sustainable in funding and material support. For instance, Gangwon and Seong-il local authorities have their own task force team for the North Korean reforestation project. In the case of Gangwon Province, they have one division that deals with forest policy of North Korea. The team consists of researchers and experts in the field. Each year, they invest 10 billion Korean won for North Korean aid projects. In case of Gyeonggi Province, they have a stable funding source called the Inter-Korean Cooperation Fund Act. They have built strong trust with people in Hwanghae Province in North Korea and have succeeded in moving the sapling cultivation projects from Pyongyang to Kaesong. Because Gangwon Province lies close to the border to North Korea, they are especially active in preparing for unification. Together with North Korea, they have established a North-South Gangwon Corporation. From 15 years' experience of Gangwon and Gyeonggi provinces, there is one notable point. The two provinces have suggested that integrated model for North Korea aid projects. The model suggests that three items should go together. That is food, energy, and restoration project. While these kinds of privately led forest corporation projects are relatively easy to do, there are several limitations as well. In general, aid projects for North Korea pursue public interest. In case of private enterprises like Yuhan Kimberly, however, their goal is definitely to produce benefits or to promote themselves. However, the goal may not be achieved since North Korea does not release detailed information of the corporation projects to South Korean press. Furthermore, if South and North relations are strained, all the projects will be suspended. Once a position is formed, moreover, it will negatively affect the company's images. Also, the enterprises are internally having difficulties in continuing the projects. Whenever there's change in the management, the companies have to convince the new management of the reforestation project's reasonability. Because of these reasons, it is hard for companies to join in the corporation projects or even maintain ongoing projects within North. Here is an example. Yuhan Kimberly, which is a so-called socially responsible company, has proceeded lots of reforestation projects in many countries as well as in North Korea. Nevertheless, they are having difficulties in proceeding projects with North Korea because of unpredictable relations between the North and South Korea. Limited access to project sites is also a big problem. In addition to this, what makes projects more difficult is a lack of transparency. This is caused by the fact that most projects are proceeded privately. In most cases, domestic NGOs are main forces of the projects. Using this fact, North Korea has encouraged competition among the NGOs and made unreasonable demand on them. Even though the NGOs has knew the North intention, they has accepted the unreasonable demands to continue cooperation with the North. Many of the NGOs which had been looking at this situation found an integrated organization, Forest for People, or 결의예습 together. While 결의예습 successfully reduced competitions among the NGOs, there are still differences over which direction they should go. Forest corporation projects with the North Korea is not an easy thing to do because there are many complex variables that should be taken into account. Nevertheless, many of the NGOs and advisory organizations are literally focusing on forest restoration. As a result, most privately led forest corporation projects have limitations in terms of efficiency.